Hi, I'm Clarissa Williams. We are here in the beautiful Upper Cumberland today. We have just attended the Upper Cumberland Republican Update, and we have Beth Campbell, who is the Tennessee Republican National Committee woman. Thank you for joining us.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for asking.
Well, Herbert and I were listening earlier when they were talking about you, and we were like, she's been in the same path. We lived in Memphis for a while. Well, technically Collierville.
Uh-huh.
And then we lived in Spring Hill. So you were in Nashville. So we were kind of neighbors
Oh,
along the
yeah,
way. And then
right.
we're here in Cookeville.
Well, we have journeyed up and down I-40 from Memphis to Nashville to Cookeville, back to Nashville, back to Memphis, and then back. So,
You get to go to all the good restaurants that way.
we did, and this is my husband got his doctorate degree from Peabody and Vanderbilt, and in college administration. And so Tennessee Tech was looking for a director of admissions in December. So who in the world has a job opening in December? And that's not the end of the start of an academic year. And so we moved to Cookeville, and our children went to Tech campus.
Mhm.
And back then, President Derryberry
Mhm.
was the president of Tech, and Bill's office was in the bottom of Derryberry Hall. Tech closed for lunch from 12 to 1 every single day.
Oh, wow.
If
Very
you-
different today.
Very different. And so we lived on East 6th Street. So Bill would walk home for lunch and then walk back to the office. And I'm thinking, those were Mayberry days. They
Yeah,
were just
they were.
great. And so that gave us a really special place in our heart for Cookeville and the Upper Cumberland area. So it was nice to be back here tonight.
Well, we're excited for you to be here because we have actually been studying about the Tennessee guiding principles of the TNGOP, and I heard that you helped craft that.
Well, what happened was the RNC, we operate under the RNC platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so this in 2024, it needed to be shortened. It was like a 50-something page document. And people aren't going to read that. That was too long. So they condensed it to maybe 20, 25 pages, something like that. So a lot of things that we in Tennessee really adhere to that was in the original 2016 platform were condensed. So we felt like, instead of having a platform for Tennessee, we will still adhere to the national platform, but let's put together maybe 12 guiding principles. And we had a committee. Scott sanctioned it and worked hard on it, and we edited and because if you're not careful, you could get too wordy. And so we felt that we came up with a good document, and it's on our website. So that was the genesis of why we have that. We had not had that prior to this past election cycle, presidential.
Well, we have went through all of those. I just had a column that went out on Highlands Insider in the last couple of days called "How to Spot a Rhino," and we actually reference some of those guiding principles. And we want informed voters. We want voters who are going to study their candidates and know exactly what they stand for. And if their candidates follow those guidelines, you've elected somebody that will represent your values.
Well, and that's what our hope is, that the candidates and you as a voter ask the candidates these questions about our guiding principles and see where they stand on them, because I think that just gives you a base for knowing more about them instead of sound bites that you see on a TV commercial or something like that.
People can be very polished on the political scene, and we've all been guilty of falling for different things, but when you really start to look and say, are they for abortion? Or do they just kind of tiptoe around that topic? Or Where do they stand on same-sex marriage? Where do they stand? There's a lot of things that maybe it doesn't impact that voter specifically, but that list is a very good, clear, principled list that shows people here's what the party stands for.
Well, people don't read anymore like they should.
I agree.
Okay. So that's why we kept it as concise as we could get it. And we made sure that every point said what we wanted it to say and be understood the same way that we wrote it. So I'm pleased with the product, and I am thanking you for highlighting it, because it's very important to all the voters to take a look at that and then ask their candidates, tell me what you think about whatever point it is. So I appreciate this very much.
Well, good. Well, I heard that you have a very tenured, just kind of a resume of experience within the party and traveling from place to place and keeping everybody in line. Is there anything that comes to mind that you want to share with our audience that is just something that sticks out that you're like, this is an unforgettable moment for me?
Well, my mother, I grew up in Memphis, and my parents always worked the polls. They always had a yard sign for their candidate, but it wasn't until our son was at the Naval Academy, and it was during the first Gulf War, and Fort Campbell was being deployed, and I mean, every news media in the world, they interviewed the gas station attendant. They interviewed everybody in Clarksville about where were they being deployed. Well, it was the top secret. So one night, our then Democrat Senator Jim Sasser, got on television, and he told where they were going.
Oh my gosh.
And what they were going to be doing. Well, that just hit my hot button, and I got up and I kind of shook my finger at the TV, and I said, Senator Sasser, if anybody with integrity runs against you, I'm going to knock on doors for them. Well, Senator Bill Frist, who was a heart transplant surgeon at Vanderbilt, decided that he would enter the race. And it was a bruising primary, but he came out on top. We were back in Memphis at that time, so I ended up being his Shelby County coordinator.
Oh, wow.
And I was green behind the ears, and I called a friend of mine, and I said, okay, I got my yellow pad. Tell me what I need to be doing. She said, okay, number one. And I said, I'm ready to go. Write it down. Always return your phone calls. Number two, always return your phone calls. And guess what number three was?
Always return your phone calls.
And so I have, now in today's world, it could be a text, email, but I always try to respond when somebody asks me a question or sends me an email or something like that, so they know it's just not in a dark hole.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens is sometimes by the time, it may be a day or two, you get back to them, they've even forgotten what they contacted you about. So I just think that that's a principle that I live by, and I really think anybody in the public arena should do the same.
I agree with you 100%. Well, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience that we haven't covered today?
Well, I just think that every step of your journey in the political process, enjoy and learn from it. Everything I've done in my path, I've taken away some really important lessons. Even when you lose, there's important lessons that you have. And I haven't been on the winning side of everything, but I appreciate the hard work that these candidates and their volunteers put forth to try to get them over that finish line.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, thank you for joining us here in the Upper Cumberland, and we will welcome you anytime if you are ever in the area and you want to come to the studio, or if you want to do another interview in the future, we would love to have you.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate the offer. You may see me.
We will. Well, thank you for joining us today, and be a light, be bold, and be bright. And if you can't be a light, don't put someone else's light out. See you the next time.
Introducing Highlands Insider, a locally owned conservative newspaper, both in print and online, serving the Highlands and Upper Cumberland region, including Putnam, White, Overton, and Jackson County, with more to come. Founded to fill the gap left by liberal-leaning coverage, we deliver uncompromised news, video, and community engagement. Subscribe now and use code HI49 to save $20 on a print and online subscription for limited time.
Join us every week as we introduce our neighbors, businesses, and inspiring stories.
People, businesses, and places that make the Upper Cumberland what it is today.
As we tell all about the past, present, and even the future outlook.
Like, comment, and subscribe so you do not miss an episode.